My name is John Smallwood. I'm a Thrive Mastercoach. I'm actually a lead many of the accreditation programs that we have here at Ingenesis. In particular, I lead the Thrive Coach Training Program, where we train coaches in how to not only interpret the being profile, but how to use the being profile in their coaching practices. I was in the corporate world for many years, and I transitioned into coaching. Some people ask me the question, why would I go from being a successful CEO into a coaching practice? And the thing is that I actually love working with people. I love to unleash their performance. I love to release what's already there in them. You've heard those adages about polishing diamonds. I love polishing diamonds. And what I do here with Ingenesis and with Thrive is I get to work with some amazing people. I get to work with amazing leaders and support them in unleashing what's already there, the talent that's underneath the surface. If you're someone who's interested in performance or producing consistent results in any area of life, then the being profile is something that I would recommend that you look at. What the being profile does is it uncovers the very essence of who you are as an individual, the different ways of being that you have. And what I mean by different ways of being, today you may be powerful, tomorrow you may not be feeling so powerful. Today you may be being responsible about your life, tomorrow you may be being a victim. So what the being profile does, it distinguishes what are the various ways of being that you are on a day-to-day basis, and how those different ways of being impact the results that you produce. So the being profile is unique. It's different from a lot of the other psychometric tools that you may see out there. Number one, it's not a personality profile. So it's not really looking at what type of personality you have. It does look, however, at the ways of being, which are the same ways of being that apply to everybody. So if I have two different people who undertake the being profile, we're looking at the same ways of being that impact performance. And they're the areas specifically that we look at, the areas that impact your performance. I'll give you some examples. If I'm looking at your responsibility, how responsible you are, you may consider yourself to be a very responsible person in different areas. But in other areas, you find that it feels like the world is doing it to you. In other words, the results that you're getting just happen. You've got no control, you've got no say, you've got no power over those. What you start to uncover is if you adjusted or if you worked on some of these areas, then you will actually shift the results that you get. You will shift your performance. And what we see is that at the end of one of these sessions, people are already starting to inquire into how do I take my performance to a new level? And they actually get an insight into if I address these areas, then I will see a paradigm shift. I will see a real shift in my performance. I sometimes compare the being profile to doing a blood test, but without the needle. And the great thing about doing a blood test is you'll discover, you get your results back from the blood test, and you can then distinguish different areas that you may need to address from a health perspective. We do the same thing with the being profile, except what we're looking at is you and your performance. So what we uncover with the being profile is all of those different ways of being, and how we do that is by asking a number of questions. And relatively simple questions, but some of them will challenge you or they'll make you think. And we ask you a series of questions. It takes you about 30 minutes. It takes about 30 minutes to actually complete those questions. And when we've completed that, then we have a picture of how you are likely to perform in different areas, but more importantly, who you're likely to be in different circumstances. What we find is with the people that we work with is that many of them, just by doing the profile, will actually increase their level of awareness. Number one, that's the first thing. The second thing is that they start to do a deep dive themselves. They start to inquire about, what are the things that if I address that would make a real difference for me. So things like, if I was being more assertive, what kind of results would I get? If I started to ask for the things that I really want in life, what would start to happen? How would it impact my relationships? For example, if I had a breakthrough in partnership with people in my life. What would it be like for me from a business perspective if I started taking on more responsibility? I was being more authentic and being more real. What would it be like for me, for example, if I was known as someone who was reliable in causing results consistently and effectively? There are some of the things that we would address and some of the things that typically people who actually undertake the being profile end up addressing themselves. Similar to a blood test, every profile result is different. It's unique to you. In actual fact, I don't think I've ever come across two profiles that are even closely matched. So when we get the results back, then we're in a position that we can actually sit down with you and go through the results with you, so then you can identify what are the key areas that if I worked on those areas that would make a real difference on my performance or on my relationships, for example, or on how I perform in different areas of life. So a question I get asked a lot is, why would I do the being profile? You know, I've done different profiles over the years when I've been interviewed for jobs. I've had my boss ask me to do profiles when we're looking at promotion, but why would I do a being profile? And the answer for me is very simple. If you are interested in producing different results, and when I mean different, I mean better results. If you're interested in improving your performance, but not like a one-off, improving your performance so you consistently improved results in all areas, at home, with your family, could be with your husband, wife, children, whatever it may be. If you're interested in that, then I highly recommend that you look at the being profile. It's a very simple way to actually determine where you are right now. Where are you now? If you can distinguish where you are, then you can distinguish how you get from where you are to where you want to get to. And that's exactly what the being profile does. It provides you with a really clear and precise starting point so you can embark on that journey of performance. You may be an individual that's just interested in your personal performance. You may be a manager or somebody who leads teams. You could be a business owner. No matter where you are, who you are, if you're interested in increasing or improving performance or taking your performance to the next level or your team's performance to the next level, then the being profile is definitely something that you should do. How easy is it to do it? You actually go to beingprofile.com, go to our website, beingprofile.com, and actually register your interest, and we will actually put you in communication with either a being profile practitioner who is close to you or someone who will be in contact with you and actually guide you through the process. It takes about 30 to 40 minutes to actually complete the profile. We get those results from you instantly, and then someone will be in communication with you to actually lead you through the interpretation process. The debrief typically will take you less than 2 hours. And if we're talking about working with you and a team, we can actually talk you through how it would apply to you, your organization, your team, or your business as well. Where will you see or meet people who've actually completed the being profile, and what kind of results do they achieve? You'll find in different organizations, from small one-man businesses or individuals right through to large multinationals, government organizations. Some of the largest not-for-profits in this country have undertaken or used the being profile, and they're producing results, outstanding results. So some of the people who will attest to the results that they get, or some people who've seen the biggest transformation in their results, are surprisingly not necessarily business owners. Some of them are managers, some of them are people who want to step up in leadership. Some of them are individuals in teams who are just interested or passionately interested in producing results with their teams, all walks of life. Some of the results that they produce are naturally performance, which in business is typically financial, increased profit. And we've seen many businesses turn around, especially in these, how would I describe it, unstable times. You'll actually see a lot of people are discovering what it means to be resilient in these times. So we're seeing performance in terms of financial, we're seeing performance in terms of relationships, we're seeing performance in terms of reliability, consistency. We're seeing performance across every area of a business that you can think of. It's not purely related to leadership. It could be related to sales. It could be related to a finance team, operational. One area that we see and we consistently hear of a real shift in performance is in recruiting people, in bringing new talent into a business, is in retaining people in a business, is in getting the best from your people. And not only getting the best from your people, but actually enabling them to actually unleash what is already the potential in them. why would I work with the being profile if I'm working with somebody to improve their performance? And why would I work with the being profile with a team if I'm looking to improve their performance? Quite simply, it gives me a clear starting point, but it also actually enables me to agree with the individual that I'm working with the areas that will make the biggest difference for them in terms of performance. So for example, if I identify with somebody that the thing that's getting in the way of them performing is their reliability or their assertiveness, then we can agree that it would make a difference for them if we work on those areas, and I can start to do that with them. I can actually start clearly to actually put a program together, a coaching program, a training program that would assist them in addressing their assertiveness or, for example, their reliability. The same with a team. I can actually work with a team, and importantly inside a team, I can actually start to create a common language that they can use in the team so that they can distinguish between them what are the ways of being that get in the way of them producing results as a team, and they can start to address that. It's very powerful. And the same, I'll go back and I'll use this analogy of blood tests a lot, is if I know that I'm iron deficient, and I know that being deficient in iron affects me in a particular way, then naturally I'm going to change my diet, I'm going to change my exercise regime so that I can address that. The same with coaching around the being profile. If I know that my relationship with responsibility, for example, is impacting the results that I have, then I can introduce practices that will support me in addressing that. Or my coach can work with me and introduce practices with me or coach me around that and about how I can be more responsible. How can I shift that relationship that I have with responsibility so that I can improve my results? So generally two types of people who've completed the being profile. They're the ones who are fans because of the results they're producing for themselves, and then they're fans because they actually want to produce results with other people. And if you're one of those individuals who's really interested in producing results with other people, then you may be interested in the Being Profile Accreditation Program. The Being Profile Accreditation Program is for coaches who are interested in coaching people or taking their performance to another level. It could be for someone who's a manager, business owner, someone who's got a team that they want to work with, or you could be in a community that you're actually interested in supporting people in a community to take their performance to a new level. So the Being Profile Accreditation Program is over 3 days, typically over 3 days, where we actually take you right through from the beginning of the background of the Being Profile, why it was created in the first place, and then through all of the different aspects of the Being Profile, the different ways of being, and how you would actually sit down with someone and interpret their Being Profile with them powerfully, effectively, and consistently. So once you've completed your Being Profile accreditation, then you're in a position where you can actually work with your team, where you could have your team, for example, do complete Being Profiles, and then you could not only provide them with the results, but you could coach them through the different areas that would make a difference for them to work on. You could work with them collectively as a team. You may choose to do some work with individuals. It may be one-on-one work. And if you've got a coaching practice, for example, then, and if you're like me, every coaching client that I have, I'll always start with a profile. I won't do any work with them unless I actually start with a profile, because that actually uncovers really quickly and consistently the work that there is for me to do that's going to give them the best results in the shortest space of time. If you're a business owner and you may choose to actually be accredited yourself, or you may have somebody in your business, it could be a HR manager, it could be somebody in your business who's responsible for people and performance in your business. You may want them to be accredited, or you may want to become accredited yourself so that you can interpret the profile. And then you have access to using the profile both, even from a recruitment perspective. You may choose to use the profile, as many of our customers do. They actually use the profile when they're recruiting, when they're bringing on new talent, when they're looking at what's that edge that if I could discover how to release or unleash this person and take them to the next level, what would that be? How would I find that? How would I discover that? Then they would use the Being Profile. So what's it like to actually go through a Being Profile debrief? For me personally, I found it a little bit challenging. I really found it interesting, and most importantly for me it was surprising. There were things that the Being profile uncovered that I just had not anticipated, and I'm not usually caught off guard. I've been doing this work for a long time. So you will find, and I say this to people, you will find things that you like, some things that you don't like, but above all, you're going to be intrigued and you're absolutely going to have some powerful insights when you come out the other side. When it comes to Thrive Coach accreditation, again, you're going to do a deep dive into the understanding of each of the various ways of being that you've distinguished when you went through your debrief. We're going to go into the background of how we actually came up with the profile in the first place. And you're going to have a real deep understanding of the Being profile, but why it actually produces results consistently time after time after time. Once you've completed your Being profile accreditation, you can actually apply to be a Being profile practitioner, which means that you would be listed on the Being profile website, and we could refer people to you who are interested in having their Being profile interpreted. Once you've completed the Being profile accreditation, you may also be interested in doing or participating in our Thrive Coach training program. The Thrive Coach training program takes place over 13 weeks. And those 13 weeks is typically one evening per week for 2.5 hours for 13 consecutive weeks. And we also have 2 one-day master classes as part of that program. At the end of that, you actually will have completed the Thrive Coach training, but you may also be interested in being considered to be a Thrive Coach or part of our Thrive Coach cohort. Personally, I love to work with leaders in business. And with the Being profile, I like to start at the very top and then cascade down through the organization. And what we see is that not only is the leader reinvigorated, but we start to see that the leadership team start to come alive and the results just follow. One of the things that I personally like about it is that it's relatively simple, as in once people get their head around their way of being or what their way of being is impairing the performance that they're getting, that they actually, once they get the momentum, they can keep it moving. They actually start to not only produce results, but consistently produce results and keep producing those results over a period of time. So you not only just get a shift in that period of time where you've completed a profile or just done a workshop with your team, you actually start the momentum and it keeps going. Let's talk briefly about the simplicity of it. We're not talking here, it's not science, it's not something that's very difficult to get your head around. And when we start to work with a team, for example, we bring the team on a journey with us, but we also train the team in how to actually produce results with their teams as well. So it's something that once we start this conversation with them, that they can actually share it with others, they can spread it throughout an organization, and you will actually transform not just the leadership team in an organization, but the actual organization itself. A high percentage of the people who are accredited with the Being profile or accredited practitioners are actually coaches. And many of them coach leadership teams, many of them coach individuals one-on-one. But the one thing that they all have in common is that they're committed to their coaching clients producing better results. How do you move from being someone who's accredited to use the profile? How do you incorporate that into your coaching practice? How do you actually take your coaching to the next level? We have a program which is called the Thrive Coach Training Program, and it specifically looks at how you incorporate the Being profile and the various ways of being in the Being profile into your coaching. How do you coach someone around each and every area that we measure in the Being profile? The results are outstanding. Over a 13-week period, we actually cover all 26 aspects or 26 ways of being inside the Being profile. And we take you not only through each of those ways of being in the Being profile, but we also ground you in the best coaching practices. Like, how do you set up your coaching client, whoever that may be? How do you actually hold them to account? How do you structure your coaching sessions with someone? How do you ensure that you get the best results with your clients? Not only how do you get the best results, but more importantly, how do they produce results that they just never expected that they would get? So we cause breakthrough results in the Thrive Coach training program with our coaches. Every coach who's been through this program says the same thing at the end, that they've actually taken their coaching to a completely different level, and they're starting to see new, unforeseen results with their coaching clients as well. So if you're a coach, you may have been a coach for a lot of years, but you may be someone who's new to coaching. You may even be someone who's just thinking about coaching for the first time. But if you're someone who's completed the Being Profile, understands the value of the Being Profile, and is looking at how you can apply that in your coaching business or your coaching career, then the Thrive Coach training program is the next step for you. You may be at the beginning of your coaching career. You may be in a coach for a number of years. Why would you undertake the Thrive Coach training program? You would undertake it so that you would take your coaching practice, your personal performance as a coach to a whole new level. You may want to increase your income. You may want to learn how do you actually acquire clients, how do you retain clients, how do you keep your clients for longer, how do you demand more in terms of income from your existing coaching clients. The Thrive Coach training program is not just about developing your skills as an ontological coach, and it is an ontological coach training program. It's also about developing you as a coach from a business perspective as well. How do you manage your coaching practice, or you yourself as a coach, in the best way from a commercial perspective? In the Thrive Coach training program, you're going to end up with a deep relationship with a cohort of coaches that you've spent 13 weeks on this journey with. And we're talking about lifelong friends, but lifelong colleagues and people who are going to be on this journey with you and going to support you on the journey, not just during the 13 weeks of the training, but beyond that as well. Thrive Coach training is challenging. It's going to confront you as a coach. It's going to actually take your coaching to a different level by actually sharpening the tools that you use, actually right out there in the battleground. So many people feel stuck. They've actually been in business maybe for a decade longer, and they're doing everything that they know to do, but it feels like they've hit a ceiling. They've actually reached that stage where no matter what they do, the only thing that's left for them is to work harder. So we've had people who will say to us, I really do feel stuck. I'm not sure what it would mean for me to be successful at that next level. And what we do is we can uncover for them what are the things that are getting in the way? What are the things that are preventing them from producing the results that they want to produce? What are the areas that if they address that, it would be like taking a roadblock out of the way that will enable them to move forward? We also see with, in particular with business owners, we see that for many of them, they reach that stage where it feels like they're on a treadmill, that they're having to work hard, and that their passion starts to erode. Their passion, what was something that they once loved doing, they're finding it becomes hard work, becomes drudge. Again, what we're seeing is, as they go through the Being Profile, they start to see an access to them actually reigniting that passion again. And within a very short space of time working with a coach, we actually see not only that passion starting to come back, but we see it turns into a flame, and we start to see them producing results in areas they didn't even think they could produce results.